This is my front garden here on the northern outskirts of Bloemfontein in the central Free State, right at the center of the universe, slap bang in the middle of South Africa. We call this the Highveld. Our um, temperatures, our minimum temperatures in the last week or two have been, between 0 and -9, and maximum temperatures. We're having beautiful winter days if there's no wind, up to 22 degrees. So quite some extremes. Summer temperatures can be up in the high 30s. But this is a picture taken in late summer, autumn, into early autumn in the garden, and the plant that I'm pointing the camera at is Teckemeria capensis, the Cape honeysuckle, and all of the plants you see there are indigenous and attract lovely sunbirds to the garden. And this Cape honeysuckle, as many of you know, just keeps flowering and keep flowering and keep flowering. We've also got Leonotus leonuris, the wild dagga, a little bit over to the left, and this has provided us, with lovely birds. So I'm just going to, what I wanted to talk about, and it's a very obvious thing, is just how biomapping changes here in this Highveld region. We essentially live in an area of open grassland punctuated by vegetated hills, sparsely vegetated with with dry woody vegetation, and as I mentioned, the temperatures fluctuate between summer and winter, between the seasons, quite remarkably, and this is reflected in the biomapping activities that I'm able to do. So it was great during this time. We had 4 species of sunbirds coming in, and the top left is the malachite sunbird, and this is a male in eclipse plumage. It's still got its long tail feathers, which it would have was in the process of losing. The most common species that we get is this little one here on the top right, the white-bellied sunbird. They were around in good numbers until the male malachite sunbird arrived, and then he took this over as a feeding territory, and he chased everything away very aggressively. This is a rare bird in this part of the country, in Bloemfontein, the amethyst sunbird, but was fortunate enough to be sitting, watching, waiting during the initial hard lockdown period that we had. I sat many hours just on our veranda looking out and was ready with camera. And then this is the orange river white-eye, which is our resident white-eye species, and you can see it perched in the Teckemeria there. So you can see the white-bellied sunbird and the amethyst at the Leonotus. And the white-eyes are what we call nectar thieves. They go in and they pierce the flower tube at the base, because obviously their bills aren't long enough to get in. So they steal the nectar from the base of the corolla tube, whereas the sunbirds actually probe in the flowers and act as pollinators in the same way. In the middle is arguably one of my surprises for this lockdown period. It's a non-breeding male dusky sunbird. Now these birds occur over in Namakwa land in the Northern Cape, more into the more arid western areas, and I think I only have a handful of records of this species in the 25 years that I've been living here. So it was wonderful to get this little bird, and it would come around, on the odd occasion, anywhere between 12:30 and 3 in the middle of the day, and it would hang around for no longer than 4 or 5 minutes, if it was lucky enough to escape the male malachite. So it was great. There was wonderful diversity. There was a lot of activity, and it kept me on my toes. If we move to the butterflies, another group that I'm interested in, there was a lot going on within the confines of our garden and in the immediate area behind our house, which I'll show. On the top left, citrus swallowtails. We had both male and female African migrants at the Leonotis. That's the one in the top middle. This is one of the black pies, but it's the Griqua subspecies. So very nice to have them, and I spent a lot of time looking for them. We had the ordinary one, the black pie, but it was really nice to be able to get nice photographs as well of Griqua pie. This is the zebra white that you can see. There's a fallen Leonotis flower, so it was there. And we had a couple of hawk moths. This was a nice one, a silver streaked, I think it's called, hawk moth. And then the common one that we have is the hummingbird hawk moth. And this is how we normally see it. You hardly ever see it perched. Fortunately, they hover, so if you are able to focus on them for that, split second that they're hovering, you have a chance of getting a photograph. So there was this was in the front part of the garden, and then on our buddleia, flowering buddleia, we had some lovely butterflies. The common diadem, this is the female, and it's one of the forms, the rarer form with the white in the hind wing, and then these three are the male, common diadem. And interesting to show the difference depending on the angle and how the light falls, where you see this beautiful cobalt blue surrounding or around the white spots. If you don't see it from the correct angle, this is what you will see down here. And then, of course, the yellow pansy, which is one of the common butterflies around here. Behind our house, we have a little green area, which is I see it as an extension of our garden. And this area was filled with flowering they're probably little synecias, little yellow daisies. And this is a buffalo thorn as well, which has flowers and also attracts good numbers of insects, including butterflies. So some of the diversity we had, it was wonderful. And this was late March, April, even into early May. Dotted blue. Steve, apologies if I'm not up on the new names yet. Common leopard, the common geranium bronze, African grass blue, the painted lady. Sorry, those. So just, for this part of the country, this is a great diversity for an area that's not much larger than 1,500 square meters. Also, a few dragonflies were around. Now, we're quite far from water, and it was wonderful to find some pretty special dragonflies during the lockdown period. We've got top left a friendly hawker female, and then an epaulet skimmer in the middle, top right. And one of my favorites is our smallest dragonfly, the yellow-veined widow. This was a female that pitched up one day, late March, early April. So that was, when things were going really, really well. Then we had our first frosts, and this is the Techemeria. Took quite a beating, and not much later, this is what it looked like. I took these photographs this morning just to show. I haven't cut off the dead branches because they're protecting the greenery below, and there are still some flowers in there, so there's something for the sunbirds, and you can also see some aloes peeking through there. So temperatures dropped, and we had frost, and so the food source for the sunbirds disappeared pretty much overnight. Here are some pictures of the male malachite, and you can see this was when things were still green. He's perched on the Techemeria twig there, and what I just wanted to show is that it's been wonderful to observe this particular individual because he stayed with us all this time, and you can see he has still got his two long tail feathers there and a little bit of green. And then here, top right and bottom left, those were taken at the same time. You can see he's now lost his tail feathers. But if you look closely, you'll see he's got some orange coloring under the bill, and that relates to the alternative food source that these birds have had to make use of. Here you can see a little white-bellied sunbird male still looking for nectar in the frost-damaged Tecumseh. And so they had to then move to alternate food. They're insectivores as well, so they feed on insects, so there are insects around, but the main source of nectar for these birds, which was the wild dacha, the Leonotus and the Tecumseh, they now had to look elsewhere. Unfortunately, this is when the aloes come into flower. And this in the middle is a female malachite sunbird feeding on aloes in the garden. Here's that male at the bottom right, also feeding on those same aloes. So beautiful splashes of color during a very dry and brown time of the year here. And this is the male again. You can see him close up without his longer tails. And then this is taken 2 days ago, down bottom left, showing that he's starting to grow his central tail feathers again. Just quite fun to be able to track this individual male as he moves around, but he's around. I see him every day. Okay, this is what it looks like now behind the house compared to green, green shrubbery with tiny yellow flowers, and it's a real struggle to find anything insect-wise for biomapping purposes. Even the birds are pretty hard to come by. But this is all that I've managed in the last week or two. A southern meadow white top left and a painted lady on our driveway. There are very, very, very few, if any, butterflies around, and no odonata at all, which is to be expected. So yeah, it poses a challenge, because for somebody as enthusiastic and keen on biomapping as I am, what do I do now? There are the birds. There's still the birds out there, so bird pics will still be, will be getting a feed from me. But what else? And we can't travel. We can't travel down to KZN, to the coast. Steve, you posted just today or yesterday on Facebook saying that despite winter, you've still got a whole bunch of butterflies in your garden. How lucky are you? Anyway, so the birds are there, and I'll be focusing on the birds as well as my backlog. I've always got a backlog of photographs to submit to the VM. So there are lots of things, and I'm also busy. I thought of putting in a few pictures. I do sound recording for pleasure, mainly of natural soundscapes and birds and all sorts. And I'm busy digitizing about 80 hours of analog tapes from old cassette tapes, going back to the 80s. So that's also keeping me nice and busy. And those hopefully will go to this wonderful resource called Xena Canto, which is a global open access source of sounds, bird sounds from all over the world. Okay, I'm wrapping up, but I just wanted to show this picture again. You might remember the previous little presentation I gave. I had just seen this bird, which is a first for this area, and it's a long-crested eagle. And if you look at its distribution, you'll see that it should not be found anywhere near here. The day I saw it, I think this was early in June, the 7th of June, it flew off in a northerly direction, and I thought, oh, well, I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, managed to get a record shot of it, very recognizable as a long-crested eagle, but that was it. I thought, that's it, gone. And lo and behold, a couple of days ago, what did I see? I saw this black raptor flying through between the trees, but it's got these lovely white windows in the wings, and that's only one species. And so this is probably the same individual, and it's hanging around. So it's been here for over a month, been in this area. So I'll definitely be keeping a lookout for it when I wander around on the estate where I live. But lovely to be able to connect with it again. A wonderful surprise. So then, what apart from photographing birds for bird pics, obviously I'll be on the lookout for whatever else I can find. But strangely, on this same day, I stumbled across this young couple, and they were clearly celebrating something. So I asked them if they would mind if I took some photographs just to record the event, and they just got engaged. And they were having a little picnic in one of the sort of park areas on their estate where I live. So yeah, I need to look for other opportunities other than the virtual museum. So this was quite a fun little project as well. Anyway, that's it from me, folks. Just biomapping is quite tough in winter here in the Central Free State. So those of you who have got lots of butterflies flitting around in your garden, even if it is winter, and the numbers are lower, think of me, struggling to find 2 or 3 species of butterflies at this time of the year. Many thanks, Les.